The hangar lights buzzed overhead as dawn bled slowly into the desert sky, but no one noticed, because every mechanic in the 57th Maintenance Squadron had frozen mid-motion. All eyes were locked on the woman crouched beneath the massive A-10 Warthog, sleeves rolled up, hands stained with hydraulic fluid. The woman who wasn't supposed to be there. And the colonel who had just walked in was staring at the small, nearly invisible tattoo behind her ear. A mark no one in the room recognized. Except him. Alara Hayes kept her head down. It was easier that way. The Air Force had a long memory, and she had spent years trying to outrun hers. She tightened the final bolt on the A-10's landing gear actuator, wiped her hands on her coveralls, and exhaled. The Warthog was a beast, temperamental, battle-scarred, beloved by pilots and maintainers alike. And for Alara, it was the closest thing to peace she had found since walking away from the life she'd once lived. Then a voice cut through the hangar. Firm, commanding, too familiar. Who authorized you to run a full actuator replacement alone? Colonel Marcus Reed, newly transferred. Rumor said he'd led more combat deployments than the rest of the officers on base combined. Alara straightened slowly. Shift leads were overloaded, sir. I volunteered. Red didn't respond. He was staring, not at her face, not at her tools, but at the faint ink revealed when she brushed back her hair. A black phoenix, wings spread, claws extended. Red's voice dropped to a whisper only she could hear. You were one of mine. The room seemed to tilt. She stepped back instinctively. Sir, I don't. Alara Hayes, he said quietly. Call sign Ashfall. Vanguard unit. Classified detachment. A murmur rippled through the quiet mechanics. None of them had ever heard of such a unit. Alara's heart hammered. She hadn't used that name in years. Colonel, she said, steadying herself. I'm a mechanic now. That life is over. But life has a way of refusing to stay buried. 2 hours later, the alert sirens wailed across the base. A rescue chopper, carrying 4 injured soldiers, had gone down in hostile territory. A sandstorm was closing in. Visibility 0. No pilots were cleared to fly. Except one. Alara, we need you. Colonel Red's expression held no rank, only urgency and something like guilt. You were certified for low visibility recovery flights. You're the only one who's ever pulled off a landing in a storm like this. Her hands trembled, not out of fear of the mission, but fear of remembering. You don't understand, she whispered. The last time I flew, my team died. Red's features softened. Your team didn't die because of you. They died because they followed you into hell. They believed in you, and I still do. That's what broke her. Not orders, not duty, just the simple truth that someone still believed she could be more than her ghosts. Minutes later, engines roared as Alara climbed into the cockpit of the rescue-modified A-10. The storm swallowed the world outside. Sand thrashed the canopy like 1,000 needles. Her breath fogged her mask. Ashfall, Red said over comms, using the call sign she hadn't heard in years, you've got this. She didn't argue. She flew. The A-10 cut through the storm like an angry animal. Turbulence rocked the aircraft. Warning lights blinked violently. Alara fought the controls with every muscle in her body. Then, through a break in the storm, she saw it. The downed chopper. The smoke. The flares. She descended hard. Too hard. The wheels slammed into the sand, jarring her teeth. But they held. She sprinted from the cockpit through the choking wind, helped the injured onboard, fought the storm every step of the way. By the time the A-10 lifted off again, her arms burned and her lungs felt on fire. But she didn't stop. Not until the landing strip appeared through the swirling dust. Not until the wheels screeched onto solid ground. Not until she knew they were safe. The hangar erupted in cheers the moment the engines powered down. Mechanics, medics, officers, everyone rushed toward her. But she didn't focus on them. She focused on Red, who walked toward her with a steady, relieved smile. You saved 4 lives today, he said. Alara shook her head, exhausted. They would have done the same. Maybe, he replied. But only one person on this entire base could have gotten that bird off the ground today. She hesitated. Sir, I just want to be a mechanic. He nodded. And you can be. But know this, your past doesn't diminish you. It built you. That ink behind your ear. It doesn't mark what you were. It marks what you overcame. Her throat tightened. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like she was running. She felt like she could finally stop. Weeks later, the A-10 she'd repaired that morning sat gleaming under fresh paint. Her name was stenciled neatly beneath the cockpit. Not Ashfall, not Vanguard, just Alara Hayes. A woman who knew how to fix things. Engines, aircraft, and finally, herself. And the mechanics who once saw her as quiet and insignificant now saw her differently. Not because of secrets, not because of ink, but because when the world needed her, she rose. Not as a legend, not as a ghost, but as the quiet hero she had always been.